All right, we are back with another Pick'em video, and today we got 15 games in the NBA. Every single team for the NBA is active tonight, and that just means there's no games for us tomorrow. So it should be a ton of value on the board. Also, the scheduling is pretty cool. Every 15 minutes, a new game is going to start from 7 o'clock to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if there's a day to get some good food, maybe get a good drink, and watch NBA from start to finish, tonight would be a good night to do it, especially with a ton of value on the board and maybe some decent amount of plays out for us today. But we're going to talk about 4 or 5 plays in this video today and get you guys on your way. But we always break down market value, hit rates, matchups, defensive things and things like that. I always break down each individual one of my plays, and then you guys can ultimately decide if you want to tail those or not. But yeah, if you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe. Leave the video a like, comment something down below, and let's just jump into some value on the board. All right, so jumping into the PrizePicks desktop screen here, we're going to start off with Donovan Mitchell, get things rolling right away. 29.5 points and rebounds is going to be the line. Let's take a look at some of these stats. Now, I'm going to be using a data app called Outlier. I use it every single day, and you're going to see how powerful it is. If you want to check it out and use it as your own, if you're someone that likes to look at stats and search things by last 5, last 10, 20% hit rates, games without certain players, see how they do. It has a ton of different data, and if you want to check it out for a free week, use my link in the description down below. It's going to be a specific link that tells them that I sent you there. And if you go ahead and do that, also comment on this video, say, hey, I signed up for Outlier using your link. You get a free week of Outlier, and I'll also give you a free week of my Discord community. So kind of a win-win situation there. And again, you're going to love Outlier. It's freaking awesome, and you're going to see that throughout the video here. But Donovan Mitchell, this is not looking awesome. 2 of 7 games he's gone over this, but you got to look a little bit deeper. Obviously, it's still early in the season, and the Cavs have looked really, really good. Now, a couple of these games, he's only gotten 27, 22 minutes here, and that's because they've just been crushing some of these teams. Toronto, Orlando, they were up a lot on as well, so not going to get the full amount of minutes. That's going to be hard for him to get this over. Now they get Milwaukee, which they are 7.5-point favorites. Milwaukee's looked like they just continue to struggle. We'll see how long Doc Rivers stays as the head coach of that team. It's kind of a head scratcher when he got the job anyway, but Milwaukee's a team that Donovan has played really, really well against in the past. Obviously, last game they played them, this is November 2nd, 2 days ago. He went over 30 points and 3 rebounds, but also dating back to last year, he went over in 4 of 4 games last year, all in the regular season. Some of these games cruising over this line. So we know what Donovan's capable of. Again, the hit rate's not going to look amazing for this year, but considering the fact that hopefully this one should stay relatively close, you don't expect a blowout, and they are home. Looking at last year's data, 60% hit rate during home games, 74% hit rate. He was really in a groove. And then, considering the fact they are 7.5-point favorites, games they win by 8+ points, 67% hit rate. So a lot of different ways that you look at this line, whether it's home, whether they're going to win, whether they're playing with all their guys. Let's go to home games and won by 81% hit rate. So there's a lot of different ways you can break this down and see that, the hit rate's looking really, really good for a guy like Donovan, specifically going up against this Milwaukee team. So yeah, really, really like what I'm seeing here for Donovan. We know what he's capable of, but it's not just what I think. Let's take a look at some market value and things like that. So going into DG Fantasy, this is another partner of the channel. They show us market value. What are these other sports books thinking? Where does everyone else have their lines? Because it's not just 29.5 points and rebounds for Donovan Mitchell across all different books. All these books are owned separately and privately, so they're going to set their own lines. And a couple of these other books are already up at 30.5, and if they're not at 30.5, they're at 29.5, heavily favoring the over here. Whereas on PrizePicks, it's a fixed payout system. They're saying, hey, probably take advantage of that, 29.5. 53.37% chance to hit. And now we've looked a little bit farther into it, going up against Milwaukee, 7-point favorites at home. Very, very solid hit rate for Donovan here. So everything kind of pointing in the right direction for Donovan Mitchell to be our first play of the day. Market value-wise, matchup-wise, Milwaukee's given up a ton of points, a ton of rebounds, specifically to the guard position too, but overall in general. And yeah, Donovan kind of checking all the boxes for me in terms of a good play to start us off. All right, so moving along to the second play here, it's going to be an under, and it's going to be on LeBron James. So I know that is difficult, but a lot of things looking really good on this, not only market value, not only projections, but there's also some blowout potential here. So if there is a blowout here and, the Lakers are up 15, 20 points and LeBron starts creeping his minutes down from, rather than 35, he's down to 32, 30, we're going to see a really good hit rate on this under. And again, everything kind of pointing in the right direction for this under. So I know it's scary, but we're looking pretty good on this one. So 4 of 6 games, unlike that Donovan Mitchell line, he has been under more consistently than not this year. So that's something good to note. Obviously dating back to last year, this This is a 40% hit rate. A lot of these games are pushes, though, so you got to put that into account. But yeah, LeBron's obviously capable of getting this over, but he's getting older and older. He's not looking like he's slowing down, but maybe, he doesn't want to go grab that rebound that he might have last year or even years prior. So looking pretty good here, 2023. And then the head-to-head last year I like to see as well, 11 RA and 9 RA. So it didn't even really come close. And again, you kind of see these blowout potentials, 133 to 107. 125 to 111, and you can see the minutes for LeBron, 28 and 30 minutes. So that is something to note. This is a 7.5 point spread. Obviously, again, the hit rate for last year wasn't looking amazing for this under, but if you consider the blowout potential, if LeBron's going to get 33, 32, 30 minutes, the hit rate starts to look much, much better here. Then you start looking at the matchup. Detroit, not allowing a whole bunch of rebounds this year. Second in terms of rebounds allowed, assists allowed, 11th. So in terms of their defense, they're not allowing a whole bunch of stuff. So good to see the head-to-head hit rate, good to see the last year's hit rate when he's not getting a whole bunch of time. And also just last year in away games, 50% hit rate, so it looks a whole lot better. And how about away games won by 7.5 points? LeBron's probably scoring a little bit more, and the hit rate on that under is 75%. So everything is in terms of hit rates, whatever way you want to slice it, this one's looking pretty good for LeBron. Now let's take a look at market value here. So I'll look at LeBron James. Probably should have already pulled this up. And we see the under 53.47% chance to hit. Why is this? Well, it's because if the books have it at 15.5, heavily favored on the under, and a lot of books, most of the books already at 14.5, and some books at 14.5 and still favoring the under here, minus 125 over on Caesars on the under for 14.5 line. So market value wise, looking really good as well. And then in terms of some projection models, this is RotoWire. Haven't shouted them out yet, but they're my favorite projection model out there. And they have a really cool tool that kind of seamlessly shows you all the lines on the board right now for any sort of thing like PrizePicks, Underdog, Sleeper, whatever you want to be affiliated with here. But yeah, you can just look up, say, LeBron. We go and go to his rebounds and assist line at 15, and they're saying they're expecting 14.79. So they're also slightly on the under here. So kind of a long-winded response there, but LeBron, I know it's hard to go on the under for a guy like him, but we're taking the under 15.0 rebounds and assists for LeBron James. All right, so moving along to the third play, it's going to be Terry Rozier, and we're back on the over 7.5 rebounds and assists. And again, chronological order here, 8:15 start for Terry Rozier going up against Sacramento. Let's take a look at his hit rate for this year, and it looks great. 4 of 5 games, 80% hit rate, albeit some of these games he's just creeping over. Some of these games he is, I guess one of these games, last game, he just crept on the under here. But when you look at his rebound chances and potential assists, that's going to add up to 17, and when you cut that in half, it's around 8.5. So considering the fact that that's kind of the rule of thumb when considering potential assists and rebound chances, so far this year, he is going to be right around this line, and I would argue that this should be probably at 8.5. So I think we're getting a decent amount of value considering just that. Now, let's take into account that he is home. So dating back to last year, huge hit rate, 70% of games he got on the over. Home games, 70%. So that hasn't changed or affected him too much, but I do like to see a lot of the games he played for the Heat, he did creep over more often than not on the over at home games. So that's another kind of positive here. Obviously, huge hit rate when he was on Charlotte. He was a huge part of that offense. No, with LaMelo a lot of last year too, so he was able to crush that line. So not taking a huge factor into this, other than the fact that he is capable of getting over this line. We really want to be looking at last year when he played games with Bam Adebayo, when he played games with Jimmy Butler, and when he played games with, let's say, Tyler Hero. Now that drops to a 50% hit rate. Obviously, when there's a whole lot of guys that are able to get rebounds, get assists, get points, it's going to be less likely for you to crush it every single game, but still good to see you hit it at 50% of the games. And also, this is kind of the one that stands out. He was able to crush this line sometimes, and one of those games was against Sacramento last year. So I'll show that in the head-to-head. 15 rebounds, assists, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. Was really able to crush it against Sacramento with all these guys playing while he was on the Heat. So I do like to see that, considering the only 3 games that he played last year. 2 of these while he was on Charlotte. 1, again, we just looked at the one where he was on the Heat. But 9 still in one of those games, and 6 when they got crushed on Charlotte. So this should be a closer one, 1.5 point spread. And again, we had to dig a little bit deeper in there. But again, Rozier had a really good, successful game against this Sacramento defense in terms of rebounding and assisting while a member of the Heat with all these guys active. So really liking that. Let's take a look at some market value. I just talked about that for so long, but let's take a look at market value. 53.55% chance to hit. Why is that? A lot of these books very heavily favored, minus 140, minus 135, minus 139 on the over. So good to take advantage of some market value. And then in terms of the projection model, 7.5, they're projecting almost 10, 9.57. So everyone really, really liking this one. And again, it took me a while to break it down, but considering the fact that he's had a lot of success against Sacramento, I know it was one game, but good to see that he's had that, future or past success against this team. So Rozier, 7.5 rebounds, assists. I'll roll the dice here. If you don't love Rozier, I would take a look at Tyler Hero over 4.5 rebounds. That's another angle you could take this. Moving right along, Jalen Brunson, 8:45 start against Houston, who is a very solid defense with Ime Udoka at the head of that. 7 assists on the under. I know, superstar, taking under, hard to do that, but let's take a look at his hit rate so far this year. 3 of 5 games. One of those was a push that wouldn't even have heard of us. So he's really only gone over this game or this line one time. And I also want to point out, we just talked about potential assists, kind of hitting at a 50% hit rate typically. 9.2 potential assists. That's not that much. That's adding up to around a 4.6 in terms of assists completing, and that's nowhere near the 7 line. So I do like this in terms of what we've seen from him this year. Obviously, a new look team over there with Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns. Everyone looking like they're going to be active today, obviously, except for Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, guys that have been missing. But dating back to last year, again, you see the hit rate still 43% on the under with a lot of pushes here. So probably more times under than he was over, considering the fact that you can take away those pushes, but 12.2 potential assists. So he's really dropped in that department, obviously with more guys on the offensive end that you're going to have to get the balls and touches to. That's just going to happen. So not a guy that's looking to pass a whole bunch. Obviously, we know Brunson can score at will. And then you consider the fact that he's going up against Houston, who is a defensive-minded team with a defensive-minded coach. And you see the assists allowed second ranked. They don't allow a whole bunch of them. So I do really like to see that. Again, tough going under on a superstar, especially considering the 2 games he played him last year. He had 7. But that was last year, and he's not assisting as well this year. So Jalen Brunson on the under 7, looking pretty good in terms of hit rates and kind of what I'm thinking for this game. And also, like always, looking pretty good in terms of market value. 53.54% or 45% chance to hit here. A lot of books at 7.5, but if they are at 7.5, minus 178 on the under. That's pretty huge potential. And then a couple other books here at 6.5, also kind of favoring a 50-50 line or probably the over a little bit. So I think a lot of books are at 7.5, but hugely favoring the under. The couple books that are 6.5 are kind of slightly favoring the over. So it's kind of around like a 6.7 in terms of average lines here. So I'll take the under on that any day of the week, considering the fact that we looked a little bit deeper into it and it's looking pretty good. Then the last data point we like to look at is going to be the projection model, and they're expecting 6.17. It's kind of where I'm lining up in terms of my thoughts. So again, if he gets 7, that's going to be a push. It's not going to be hurting us at the end of the day, but I think he's got a pretty good odds to stay under this one for us. Then moving along to our 5th and final play, it was going to be Grant Williams at 19.0 PRA on the under. You could take a look at it at 18.5, but again, I want to point out the fact that it's not going to be as good in terms of market value. The projection models aren't going to love it as much as they would at 19.0, but something to consider. He is going up against Minnesota. He's never really come close against Minnesota for this at all. He's a smaller big man, and he's going up against Julius Randle, going up against Rudy Gobert. I don't see him getting a whole bunch of rebounds. I don't see him, being an offensive threat because I don't think he's that good. So 19 seemed a little bit too high to me. He was checking all the boxes, but 18.5, you could roll the dice there. I'm just not going to make it an official video pick. But I did want to point out the fact that we've had huge success doing these first half plays, first half fantasy score, first half PRA, first half points, and going into something like Outlier. Not a whole lot of things track this, but Outlier gives us that edge because not a lot of whole books have the first half plays. So you can't really look at market value, but you can take a look at it for something like Outlier. And I kind of just search this as 2023 hit rate to overall. Like, Jose Alvarado under in 94% of games last year. You have to consider the fact that they're dealing with a whole bunch of injuries, so that's probably not something I'm looking into. But Dyson Daniels, another guy that's looking a whole lot better this year, but you can look at his maybe under first half, 5.5 points. The one that kind of caught my eye here was Sabonis. Obviously, they get DeMar DeRozan, but his hit rate 77% on the over last year, 67% of games so far this year. Head-to-head, did go over in both games, I think, last year against Miami, if you want to take a look at that. So kind of wanted to scroll through here. Sabonis probably the first one that's kind of catching my eye in terms of first half, I think fantasy score at 20.5. So that's something that could fill in for you guys as a fifth play. But like always, again, I'm just showing you guys plays that I like on the board as of right now, breaking it all down for you. You can take one of these plays, you could take none of them. Maybe you just want to watch the video, or you could take all 4 or 5 of them, whatever you want to do. It's ultimately going to be your decision here. But really liking the board today. I'm going to attack a whole bunch of value throughout the day. We also got Monday Night Football. So if you're interested in the community, definitely check us out. It's a Dub Club link in the description down below, but people are always talking sports, talking props, talking different plays in here, and sharing their own slips. We got some seasoned chefs. They know what they're doing along with me. You're obviously going to get access to any play that I play. I'm going to upload it here and tag you guys so you get a notification and can go ahead and tail that right away if you want to go ahead and do that. But yeah, the community aspect's the favorite part for me, and the whole bunch of like-minded people in here always bouncing their ideas off. So again, you can get in using the link in the description. It's a Dub Club link. Got to sign up through Dub Club, then just link your Dub Club account to your Discord account, and that's going to give you the automatic access. But there's also plenty of ways to get in here for free. If you want to sign up for RichPicks, you want to sign up for PrizePicks, Underdog, Betr, Sleeper, Chalkboard, Dabble, any of those. If you want to use my code, it's different. Most of them are Rich Picks. I think Sleeper is Rich, and then Dabble might be Rich DFS or something like that. But the links are in the description down below. That's probably a little bit easier. And if you do go ahead and sign up using my code, you're going to get a free month of my Discord. So comment something down below, get in touch with me somehow, so then I can reach back out to you. We can confirm that you use my code, and then I'll get you guys that free month. But yeah, community continues to grow. Over the weekend, we got a ton of new subscribers and things like that. So just going to try to continue killing the NBA. A little bit of a lull over the weekend, not too great in terms of our hit rates, but we did have a 4-man hit for Monday Night Football, not Monday Night Football, just in football last night. So that was pretty solid. That got us a nice profitable day for Sunday, and just going to try to continue doing that each and every day. We're not going to win every day, but that's always going to be the goal. And yeah, I'm rambling at this point. But again, if you're new around here, definitely go and subscribe, leave the video a like, comment something down below, and again, jump into the community, and we're going to be talking sports all throughout the day. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.